Hello, this is Bob with a short video on how to insert an image into a discussion post. So I've got my Canvas program open, and let me open one of these courses. I've added a module called How to Insert an Image in a Discussion Post, just so we can play. So if this was a discussion post and there was a question, I would hit reply and I would type in my reply. And then if I wanted to put an image, you could do this either in your initial discussion posting, or you could do it in the reply to your classmates. If you look at the toolbar up here, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. There we go. If you look here, you'll see this little image. That's the universal symbol for images in toolbars. And if you click the little chevron, you can see upload image, course images, or user images. With Canvas, you can save images as your own, like if you wanted to use them in separate courses. Each time you upload an image, then it's from your hard drive, your computer, it's going to save it under course images. And as the instructor, every time I upload an image, it's going to be course images also. So at this point, we actually want to upload an image. And if you do that, then you get to here, where if you have an image, you can click on the little arrow and it brings me right to an image. So I click it, and then down here on the right, I do open. It shows it. It's always a good idea to write in some alternate text. This makes it so that if people have visual disturbances, then the text reader and the computer, when they bring up this image and can't see it or can't see it well, then this will explain it to them. So example image for module on how to add images to discussion posts. All right, and you want to embed the image, so just take the default, hit submit. Give it a second. And there's our image. Okay? If you want, you can actually click it once and then do image options. And you'll see over here that we can change the size. Let's say we wanted just to make it small. There you go, something like that. Remember, that's just click it, click image options, come over to the right side. Let's make it large now. Okay, large is kind of a nice size. Now, what if I don't have an image on my hard drive? A common thing is that you will be in Google and you will have looked up virtual reality. And if you come up here to videos or images, let's click on images, then these are all images that have to do with virtual reality. Now in discussion posts, probably not a huge big deal to worry about copyright and all that, but it's always a good idea. Remember, in Google Images here, if you hit settings and advanced search, and you scroll down to usage rights at the bottom, if you do Creative Commons licenses, then most of those are public domain, or they've been put in the public domain. So these are only Creative Commons. You can see that right here. So you're basically free to use any of these. Let's just find one. So here, you can either right-click on the thumbnail and copy the image, or you can click on the thumbnail and you'll get a bigger copy of the image. I always like to go with the biggest because it's got the best resolution, and I can always shrink it. If you take a small image and it's too small and you enlarge it, it may get grainy and have some resolution problems. So if we right click here, what I generally prefer to do is, well, we'll do that later. So let's just say that you want to put this whole image. So you choose Save Image As. It opens up a your Explorer, your Outlook, your file system, and we'll just put it right here. Let's call this example VR image. And remember, that's under DMSc Assessment Picks. Because now we have it, and we can go back to our program here, Canvas, and now we want to put in an image, same thing, and we want to upload it because we just downloaded it. You can't take it right from the internet, so you have to upload it from your hard drive. Click Go. We're in DMSc Assessment Picks, and where was it? Here it is, right here. So either double click it or click it once and hit open. Once again, this is an image of a man with a VR headset, and submit. Now that's going to be kind of big compared to our other one, so we could either take the other one and make it bigger, or we can take this one and make it smaller. So that other one was large. That looks nice. They're about the same size. All right, so the first one was an image already on your hard drive. The second one I showed you was copying, let's say finding and copying an image from, and it could be anywhere, we just have to do Google at that point. Now the third thing you might need to do is you might have an image in a book or journal online that you want to use. That gets a little more complicated, but let's go through it real quick. So I went to the library, I searched for lobotomies. Here's some books on lobotomies that you can get. I chose American Lobotomy, a Rhetorical History. That sounds like an interesting book. And just looking through it, I was trying to find some images. If you go to Not Our Father's Lobotomy, Memories of Lobotomy and the New Era of Psychosurgery. Oh wait, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry. I wanted to show you this one. So how Weston State Hospital became the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, or the birth of Dr. Monster. So I just noticed, and this is different on every different PDF viewer. This is JSTOR. You'll come across a lot of articles in JSTOR from the ATSU library. You can either click this to go page by page, or see this little box here, you can make thumbnails, and it'll show you thumbnails of all the pages, which is useful for me if I'm trying to find a picture. So here's a picture. So I've got this picture. This could be an EKG in a case study. It could be an MRI, just could be anything. But the question is, how do we get it from here onto our hard drive as an image? Let's see what happens if we right-click and save image as. And this took us back to the same place. So let's call this Hospital 1. And let's go back over here, and insert an image, upload it. This is Hospital 1. Uh-oh. So it copied the entire page. So I don't want that. So let's close, and it won't copy it. Let's go back over here to the image. If you just want, so by, it's seeing this in a PDF, it's seeing the whole page as an image. We only want part of that. So we're going to have to crop it. And let me show you two ways to do that. One is a really useful little program that comes with Windows called Windows Paint. Oh, I don't know if this is going to show because it opened up in a different window. So I'm going to stop for just a minute and we'll see if this is showing. Okay, so I went out and checked it in Camtasia and it is showing this. So let me show you. This is called Paint, Windows Paint. And what you can do when you have a photo in a PDF like this is you could do what we did a minute ago, which is right click, save image as. The problem was it saves the whole page, but that's okay. Open up Paint, come up here to File, and you want to open an existing file, and here is our hospital picture. It brings the whole thing in, and now if we select a rectangular selection and we highlight it, now you could either have the photo or you could have the text under it. So let's do that. And then come right here where it says crop and click. There you go. Now, I'm never going to use that text, so I just hit the save little icon up here, or you can do file, save, or if you don't want to save over the whole picture that had the text, you could do save as. So we'll just do save. That actually changes that picture and you'll see that it's not in there anymore. So now we go back to here. And what we've done is we've taken an image or a book or journal online and we're going to upload it. Click to upload. There's our hospital picture, nicely cropped. And this is a hospital picture. Submit. Once again, that came in just the right size. So that's, oops, wait, that's the other one. So it didn't come in the right size. So let's go back here. And when you click on it once, it brings up image options. Come over here. I was choosing large. That's what all the other ones are. So now they're all the same size. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you. That's if you have an image and you save the entire image and then have to crop it. Occasionally what will happen is you'll want the entire screen. So let's say you've got a let's go over here to Google and let's click on our VR image again. That's just going to bring up the image. Let's go down here to something that has, here's one, the Noun Project. Wait for it. Oh, for some reason you want to screen capture this and crop it so that it has more than just if we press right click we can save the page, but you see it doesn't see the page as an image. And if we save it as page, it's going to be what's called HTML, and you're not going to be able to bring it into Paint in order to do something. So you want to save it as an image. The easiest way is there's a little button called Print Screen, and if you hit Print Screen, that copies the entire screen and puts it into your what's called your clipboard. Come back to Paint. Under File, let's do a new image. And now if you paste, you get the entire other screen for some reason. Interesting. Oh, you get both screens. Okay, so here's both screens. And once again, what we'll have to do is we'll have to do some cropping. I have two monitors, so this is showing both monitors. I only want this part because this is the part of the web page that I'm interested in showing people. So I highlight it by doing Select, Rectangular Selection, then I hit Crop. There it is. Now this one says Untitled, so it hasn't been saved like the other one. So we have to come up here, and you can either do Save or Save As. If you do Save, it doesn't know what to call it. It's going to put it in the right place. So let's call this a web page capture and put it there. And then come back here. So to capture a web page using print screen and then cropping with Windows Paint. All right, let's see. So we come to our image, we upload the image, we click to upload it. Do you see it? Here it is, web page capture, highlight it, double click it, or just click once and then do this. So this is a web page capture. You can actually go up here and highlight its title, Control C and Control V copies it and then pastes it, and submit it. This is probably going to be quite a bit bigger than the others. Yep, pretty big. So let's just click once, which brings up image options. Come to Custom, Large, Done, and now we've got it. All right, so we've talked about you've got a discussion post, and you've replied, and you want to put an image in there. Say it's an EKG or a MRI or whatever, a patient image. If you already have the image, then you can just, on your hard drive, you can do it that way. You just come over here, upload the image, it uploads just fine. If you go to Google and you have to find and copy an image, you go to Google, you find an image, you right click and save image as. Once you save the image, you come back here, same way, image icon, upload image, comes right in. If you have an image in a book or a journal that you're interested in, you find the book and journal. We talked about two ways. If you just do save image as, sometimes it will give you the image, but usually if you're reading a PDF or you're online, it'll give you the entire page. So then we came over to Windows Paint and we cropped the image out of the page. We saved it as something here. What did we save it as? That was the hospital. Maybe we didn't save it. We must have saved it. Oh, just a minute. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So we saved it. And then once it's saved, we went back into here. And once again, we chose image, upload an image, and we brought it in. And the final thing we did was we talked about how to capture an entire page and then bring it back into, that has the image, and then bring it into Google like we did, and crop it and save it, and then put it into our discussion post. So that's 4 different ways to do it. I hope this has been helpful. If not, be sure to send me an email and I can either help you by making another video, or we can Zoom together and I can show you in real life. Don't forget to post your reply because if you don't, it all goes away and you have to do it again. All right. Thank you. Bye.
A review of the landmarks on the skull and the more significant structures in the frontal lobe will give one a clear impression of the nature of the operation. On the prepared skull, at a point 13 centimeters behind the glabella, the coronal suture is outlined. 6 centimeters above the zygoma in the coronal suture, the opening is made. This corresponds to a point close to the sphenoidal ridge on the interior of the skull. The coronal suture on the inside of the skull is observed. Note again the sphenoidal ridge behind which the operator must not penetrate for fear of lacerating arteries. Turning now to the brain, the frontal lobe is bounded by the Sylvian fissure and the Rolandic fissure. The point of entrance of the knife is shown. Here is the Sylvian fissure with its large vessels. On the mesial aspect of the hemisphere, the genu of the corpus callosum lies here. Sectioning the brain in approximately the plane of the coronal suture allows us to expose certain vital points. Observe first the corpus callosum and the association pathways. Next, the fasciculus cinguli and the anterior limb of the internal capsule. After dissection of the brain, these structures are more clearly seen. The fasciculus cinguli skirts the corpus callosum and runs down into the temporal lobe. The plane of the lobotomy incision lies just anterior to the head of the caudate nucleus. When the head of the caudate nucleus is removed, the fibers radiating forward from the thalamus are seen. Note the thalamus with its radiations into the temporal and the occipital regions, and its anterior radiation into the frontal lobe. The patient is lying on the table with his head shaved back as far as the vertex. The first mark is made 3 centimeters behind the lateral rim of the orbit. and then a cross mark is made 6 centimeters above the zygoma. Another mark is made in the midline, 13 centimeters from the glabella. These points are joined by a line leading over the vertex, following as accurately as possible the coronal suture. The midline is similarly indicated. Operations can be performed under local anesthesia if the patient is sufficiently cooperative. An incision through the scalp along the indicated line exposes the coronal suture. The periosteum is scraped off and markings are made with a chisel. The wound edges are then retracted with a self-retaining mastoid retractor. A burr hole is placed in the coronal suture by means of successive drills. The opening is then enlarged in the line of the coronal suture by a rongeur to give greater play for the knife. The dura is opened and the cortex is punctured in an avascular area, following which the leucotome and the nasal septum periosteal elevator are introduced. A similar opening is then made on the opposite side. In the following procedure, the surgeon inserts the leucotome into the brain. He is guided by the neurologist in order to keep the brain incision constantly in the plane of the coronal suture. His first move is to penetrate directly through the brain from one opening in the skull to the other. His second move is to locate the falx in the midline, always keeping in the plane of the coronal suture. The surgeon then clamps a hemostat on the blunt dissector, introduces it into the incision, and cuts to within 1 centimeter of the midline. The surgeon must be careful to avoid the anterior cerebral artery, laceration of which will lead to serious bleeding. He must also remain in front of the anterior perforated space with its many penetrating vessels. Still guided by the neurologist, the surgeon cuts the upper quadrant in the same way, always maintaining the instrument in the plane of the coronal suture, as indicated by the guiding neurologist. It seems to be of little importance whether or not the ventricle is entered. The incisions are irrigated out with normal saline in order to control hemorrhage. Usually there is very little bleeding, most of this coming from the superficial cortical vessels. The incisions are now deepened by radial stab incisions which push the vessels before them, preventing further bleeding and at the same time interrupting more completely the fibers in the frontal lobe. It is when these remaining fibers are being severed that the patient often becomes disoriented. The surgeon starts on the second side, inserting the leucotome through the incision where it can be seen coming out on the surface of the brain. This shows the delicacy and accuracy of the method. When the operation has been completed on both sides, the surgeon injects a few drops of iodized oil into the upper and lower extremities of the incisions in order to demonstrate by X-ray their exact location. This is of importance, since a failure of the operation can often be correlated with the erroneous placement of the incisions.